Amin, Amin, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Thank you, Mr. Sufyan Amin, for leading us in the recitation of the dua. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good morning. Salam Malaysia Madani, and a warm welcome. Thank you for joining us, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the opening ceremony of the Global Skills Forum, GSF 2025. It is truly an honor to have before us this morning a gathering of amazing individuals in the global skills sphere, and we also are honored by the presence of the Honorable Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid bin Hamidi, Deputy Prime Minister of Malaysia and Minister of Rural and Regional Development. Thank you for joining us, Honorable Mr. Stephen Sim Chee Kiong, Minister of Human Resources Malaysia, Honorable Tan Sri Datuk Seri Shamsul Azri bin Abu Bakar, Chief Secretary to the Government of Malaysia. Welcome to Malaysia, His Excellency Mr. Gilbert F. Hangbo, Director General of the International Labour Organization, ILO. And we'd like to also thank all the ministers who are joining us from around the ASEAN region. His Excellency Mr. Heng Saw, Minister of Labour and Vocational Training, Cambodia. His Excellency Mr. Pong Sai Sek, Intalat, Vice Minister of Labour and Social Welfare, Lao People's Democratic Republic. His Excellency Mr. Rogerio Araujo Mendonca, Secretary of State for Vocational Training and Employment, Timor-Leste. Yang berbahagia Datuk Azman bin Muhammad Yusuf, the Secretary General of the Ministry of Human Resources, Malaysia. And we also welcome Mr. Darmawan Shah, Director General of Manpower, Placement, Development, and Expansion of Employment Opportunities, Indonesia. Ms. Rosana E. Urdaneta, CISO 2, Deputy Director General for Policies and Planning, Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, TESDA, the Philippines. Ms. Nguyen T. Viet Hong, Deputy Director General of the Department for Vocational and Continuing Education and Training, Ministry of Education and Training, Vietnam. Yang berbahagia Dato' Abu Hurairah bin Abu Yazid, Chairman of the Board of Directors, Human Resource Development Corporation, HRD Corp. Yang berusaha Dr. Said Alwi bin Muhammad Sultan, Chief Executive of HRD Corp. Mr. Matthias Thorns, Vice President of the International Organization of Employers, IOE. His Excellency, Mr. Azar Bayramov, Director General of the OIC Labor Center. Ms. Madia Rami Lukri, Senior Officer, Labor and Civil Service Division, ASEAN Secretariat. Representatives of the various ASEAN member state ministers in attendance, Your Excellencies, ambassadors to Malaysia, delegates from the international and ASEAN member states, members of the media, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you once again for being a part of GSF 2025, which is spearheaded by the Ministry of Human Resources, Malaysia, Kasuma, through the Human Resource Development Corporation, HRD Corp. This event is strongly supported by the International Labour Organization, ILO, and the International Organization of Employers, IOE. Today, we will hear from visionary leaders who are redefining the way we think about employment, technology, and lifelong learning. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, to set the stage for today's discourse, let's take a moment to look upon what the Global Skills Forum represents, its purpose, the people, and the mission to empower a global workforce. We direct your attention to the screen for the Global Skills Forum 2025 video montage.
The work landscape is shifting. Skills are no longer optional. The engine of progress and resilience. Skills, not just technical know-how, but the power to adapt, connect, and lead. Global Skills Forum 2025 sets the stage for what comes next. For the first time, the Global Skills Forum moves beyond Geneva, hosted proudly in Malaysia. 49 countries convene. Ministers, experts, industry captains, union leaders, and global bodies, all united under one platform to address key work challenges. Revolutionizing skills development through bold private sector leadership. Driving innovation through public-private partnerships and digital transformation. Spotlighting global best practices to elevate private sector engagement. Empowering sector skills bodies to align workforce strategies with industry needs. connecting institutions worldwide to strengthen skills collaboration, championing proven models for impactful private sector participation. This is where we co-create real solutions, delivering insights that spark real-world change. Global Skills Forum 2025, a global stage for bold ideas and real action.
Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, to deliver the opening speech, it is my pleasure to invite the Honorable Mr. Stephen Sim Chi Kyong, Minister of Human Resources, Malaysia.
Thank you, MC, for this morning, parents. Always very pleasant to hear your voice. The Honorable Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid bin Hamidi, Deputy Prime Minister of Malaysia, Minister of Rural and Regional Development. The Honorable Tan Sri Datuk Seri Samsul Azri bin Abu Bakar, Chief Secretary to the Government. His Excellency, the JB Humbo, Director General, the ILO, fellow colleagues from ASEAN member states, colleagues from Ministry of Human Resources, Malaysia, members of the Diplomatic Corps, friends, ladies and gentlemen, saudara-saudari yang saya kasih sekalian. Salam sejahtera, salam Malaysia Madani, salam bekerja kesuma bangsa. Dasar dalam air surut, lancar ria, baknya hilang. Pasar jalan kerana turut, lancar kaji kerana ulang. That is a Malay pantun or poem containing old Malay saying, pasar jalan kerana turut, lancar kaji kerana ulang. Basically meaning, if we want to be good at something, then we have to train, continue to be trained, skill, reskill, and upskill. And I took the liberty to translate that poem into English for the benefit of our foreign friends. And tides recede, the depths are seen. The surface calm, waves do cease. The road is easy when it's routine, and learning comes by steady practice. First of all, I want to thank the Deputy Prime Minister of Malaysia, Sri Dr. Ahmad Zahid bin Hamidi, for spending his precious time to be with us here today in this very historic conference. Shall we give a round of applause to thank and welcome Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi. And I want to also welcome and thank my dear friend, His Excellency JB Humbo, the Director General of the National Labour Organization, for being here today with us. This, my dear friends, this is the first time the head of the ILO has visited Malaysia since our accession to the organization in 1957. Deputy Prime Minister, I've read his Director General's report at every international labour conference held in Geneva around June every year. I must say that Excellency Ube Humbo is a DG who listens not only to numbers and statistics, but he understands and hears the heartbeats of workers in every corner of the world, their aspirations and their anxieties as workers face the excitement of new technology, the turbulence of global uncertainties, the threats of climate change and pandemics, and the precarity of 21st century work. Welcome once again, Your Excellency, to Malaysia. Your leadership and your presence today inspire us, not only in this country, but across the ASEAN region, to build a future of work that is dignified and more humane for all. I want to assure the Deputy Prime Minister that I have treated our guests with our unique brand of durian diplomacy, tackling thorny issues, but with a sweet aftertaste. Perhaps after our amazing durian conversation yesterday, the DG may even consider setting up a regional IO office here in Malaysia as a launchpad to catalyze more labor market reforms across the region. My dear friends, recently I started reading Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim's latest book, Rethinking Ourselves. In the prologue, he mentioned how in the late 90s, as a finance minister of Malaysia, in his welcoming speech to the then head of World Bank, James Wolfenson, he stressed that, I quote him, while we rejoice at our success, though it was the roaring 90s, we should not forget the plight of the poor and marginalized. Now, more than 25 years later, as I welcome the head of the International Labour Organization, I must paraphrase Anwar Ibrahim's statement. This is mine. While we pursue rapid technological advancements, AI, digitalization, etc., and new investment projects, after all, we are now in the AI decade, the 21st century. We should not forget the plight of ordinary workers all around the world. Centuries before Ricardo, Smith, and Marx postulated the labor theory of value, the medieval North African Muslim polymath Ibn Khaldun observed how, I quote him, labor is real basis of profit. In other words, workers are the true creators of value in our economy. As the world focuses on new trade alignments and realignments, on larger than life leaders affecting geopolitics and geoeconomics, the gains for workers over the past 100 years must not only be safeguarded, but we must continue to progress, especially in view of new dynamics. Let me just give you one example. The gig economy or the platform economy. While we all hail the advancement of technology which made it possible to run a hotel chain without owning any hotels or even room units, a taxi company without owning a single car, a logistic firm without owning fleets of lorries and trucks, millions upon millions of workers labor every day across the world without protection traditionally accorded to employees. It may be an imperfect analogy, I know, but the more I ruminate and reflect on the gig economy, the more I've come to think that we are using 21st century technology to generate profit, while at the same time relying on 10th century labor concepts of feudal serfdom to put people to work. The ILO, under the leadership of Excellency Mr. Jube Tungbo, is doing a great job in trying to get difficult consensus to set global standards for gig workers. I know it is not easy because we have gone through the process here in Malaysia to get the buy-ins. There were resistance for sure, but we cannot talk about progress and then allow the clock to turn back 1,000 years for millions of workers in the gig sector. With the strong support, particular from our Deputy Prime Minister himself, who is a key champion of the cause of the gig workers, on 28th of August this year, eve of our Independence Day, Malaysia passed our historic gig workers law and this oppressive system for millions of gig workers in Malaysia. My dear friends, as the world discusses the future of work, we also have to work towards the future. The dignity of workers comes not only from protection, but also from competence and opportunity. And this is where skill education is important. But think about our university education system. About 1,400 years ago, the Chinese monk Xuanzang watched Journey to the West. Right? It was based after the historic Tang Dynasty monk Xuanzang. He traveled from Chang'an along the Silk Road across the Takamakan Desert to the Pamir Mountains in Central Asia before reaching what was known as the Nalanda Mahavihara, great ancient Buddhist university in eastern India. The journey there took 8 years, and Xuanzang spent about another 8 years in Nalanda studying Buddhist philosophy. And fast forward 500 years later, the great Saladin Al-Ayyubi reinstituted the Al-Azhar Mosque Madrasah as an Islamic center of higher learning. Around the same period as Al-Azhar, to the west, the University of Oxford began with a group of church clerics, scholars gathering to study Christian theology. My dear friends, our universities were designed along the model of this great ancient institution a millennium ago, 1,000 years ago. And then think about the Industrial Revolution, relatively modern event about 250 years ago. And then the Industrial Revolution 4.0 or the IR 4.0, maybe 10 to 15 years. Just by looking at the timeline, we know that our traditional university system is obviously not built for the industry. You study 4 years in the classroom, maybe 5. Keep thinking. It is for us to think about what is love, what is pain, who is God, what is the labor theory of value. I give you an example. My first degree was in computer science. It took me 4 years to complete. When we graduated, most of my peers worked as coder or computer programmers, and they were very good at that. But the fact is that one only needs a few months, perhaps up to a year, to be fluent in the programming language. My 11-year-old son learned coding from YouTube, watching YouTube when he was 6 or 7. So imagine paying and spending 4 years in university program only to use a skill which one can learn in almost a quarter of that time. And I'm not advocating that we shouldn't go to university, right? To be fair to our universities, they are improving, they are catching up. This year's QS World Ranking, Malaysian universities have all improved in their ranking. But my dear friends, the IR 4.0 should be a TVET revolution because IR 4.0 is about skills. And an education program for our workers should have 3 principles. Number 1, learning on the job. Number 2, learning by practice. And number 3, learning continuously. In other words, must be agile, flexible, must be able to adapt fast-paced changes in the industry, and it must be able to do so very quickly. My ministry, Kasuma, the leadership of Deputy Prime Minister Seri bin Hamidi, who is chairman of the Malaysian TVET Council, we are working on a ministry-wide program to set up a new training platform, one which curates and syndicates the best skills courses provided by both local and global training providers, approved by the industry, and accessible to all walks of the society. We are, however, building from a firm foundation. Here in Malaysia, we have embedded upskilling and reskilling into our labor market through HRD Corp. Under this system, employers contribute 1% levy from their payroll funds they can in turn use, train and upgrade their own workers. For the last 3 years, from 2023 till August this year, out of the 6.17 billion levy collected, a total of 5.77 or 94% levy has been spent on training about 4 million workers in Malaysia. Congratulations, HRD Corp. And in the last 2 years, we have also made it easier for employers to utilize the levy fund for a wide variety of training programs, but focusing always on the 3 principles of learning on the job, learning by practice, and learning continuously. For example, employers can now use the fund to pay for internship and graduate schemes where varsity students as well as graduates are placed for training within the job environment while receiving up to 1 year of training allowances. And in his recent budget speech, the Prime Minister has also announced additional tax deduction for companies spending to train workers in the area of artificial intelligence or AI. Continuous and lifelong learning must become part of our national culture. That is why, since 2023, we have organized the National Training Week, a nationwide movement giving Malaysians 1 week of free access to skill courses ranging from artificial intelligence to indigenous arts, computer programming to public speaking, digital skills to mental health. In its first year, the program reached about 130,000 Malaysians. The following year, participants grew to almost 400,000 people. And this year, the third year, the National Training Week 2025 recorded nearly 4 million enrollment in just 1 week, supported by over 1,500 training providers offering over 73,000 free skill courses. This is not just about training. It is about building a culture of learning that keeps pace with change and ensures no Malaysians is left behind in the future of work. We are proud. We are told that our friends from Indonesia, Myanmar, Timor-Leste are adopting National Training Week concept, recognizing its potential to strengthen workforce development and skills training to be implemented in the respective countries. My dear friends, the Minister of Cambodia is here. I was told that they are looking to adopt the HRD Corp business model in driving more structured and sustained training, upskilling initiative, and workforce transformation. These developments reflect the growing regional interest in best practices for human capital development and the positive impact of collaborative approach to skills advancement. My dear friends, Malaysia aspires for ASEAN to be one of the most skilled regions in the world. Think about a labor market of middle to highly skilled workforce within a population of about 700 million people. This is a workforce with which shares culture, tradition, language, and even food, even durian. In other words, the process of integration for economic collaboration here in this region, despite we too having our own challenges, is so much easier. This is the purpose for this Global Skills Forum held historic manner here this year. The Global Skill Forum is not a standalone program. It is the culmination of the ASEAN Year of Skills 2025, a year-long journey that has brought together government, employers, workers, learning communities across the region. From the ASEAN Year of Skill launch in April this year to the ASEAN Human Capital Development Investment Symposium, National Training Week, the ASEAN Training Marketing Conference, the ASEAN TVET Conference, and the National Human Capital Conference and Exhibition, each of these platforms has laid stronger groundwork for a stronger, smarter, more inclusive skills training ecosystem in the 21st century, not just in our respective countries in ASEAN, but also across the region. And now, the Global Skill Forum takes that conversation to a global scale, expanding our horizon, learning from the international best practices, and preparing for the ASEAN Forum of Manpower Ministers for Human Capital Development, which will translate all these discussions into concrete regional commitment. It is my great honor to welcome all distinguished delegates and participants to the Global Skills Forum GSF 2025. We, Malaysia, are privileged to host such a distinguished assembly of policymakers, industry leaders, training providers, development partners, global institutions here in Kuala Lumpur. Thank you. Congratulations to the organizers, the SUMA via HRD Corp, in partnership with the International Labour Organization and in collaboration with the International Organization Employers IOE. Your hard work made this historic conference a success. Terima kasih. Maramin selamat. Kap kum krap. Am en. Auk kun. Merci beaucoup. Thank you.
Thank you to the Honorable Mr. Stephen Sim Chi Kyong, Minister of Human Resources, for the opening speech. And now, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, with the stage set, I have the privilege of inviting to the stage Mr. Matthias Thorns, Vice President of the International Organization of Employers, to deliver his address.
Selamat pagi. Good morning. Your Excellency, the Honorable Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid bin Hamadi, Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Mr. Stephen Sim Chi Kyong, Minister of Human Resources, Gilbert Umbo, ILO Director General, Honorable Ministers, the President of the Malaysian Employers Federation, Datuk Dr. Syed Hussein Syed Husman, distinguished officials, friends and colleagues from around the world. It is a pleasure to join you in celebrating the ASEAN Year of Skills under the Malaysian strong leadership. We know this is a particularly difficult time for you, due of the ASEAN Summit coming up Sunday, and we really appreciate that you nevertheless take the effort to host us here today. Thank you so much for that. We are particularly interested in hearing and learning about the joint declaration by ASEAN manpower ministers, which you will present later today. It is an honor to speak on behalf of the International Organization of Employers. The International Organization of Employers is represented here in the room with many, many colleagues coming from around the world, together with the IE Vice President Sonia Yahani. This year marks 105th anniversary of the International Organization. The IE represents more than 50 million companies, and these companies, Employers Federation, the key role to play in the developing skills and the governance of training and education. All studies show, for instance from the OECD, that if employers organizations are closely involved in the skill building system, the education system, the outcomes are much better, and that systems closely involve Employers Federation in the governance record the lowest skill match rate, lower than 10% compared to systems which have a weak engagement of employers organizations, which often have about 30% of engagement. We are at a critical time. AI, emerging technologies are transforming industry, generating new types of jobs, demanding new skills, and all in a remarkable speed. Climate change, globalization, demographic shifts are shaping labor markets, reshaping what skills are needed. These factors are all interconnected, and policymakers and also social partners must remain responsive. Employers are finding it harder and harder to find the right skills for the jobs. According to a study of the Society for Human Resource Management, 75% of all organizations worldwide struggle to find the right skills. Skills are the key factor for economic growth, poverty eradication, and national development. The World Bank estimates that closing the global skills gap could boost the world economy by up to $65 trillion, which equals around 5 to 6% of global GDP. You here in ASEAN, the ASEAN countries, have shown how investment in education and training translate into prosperity and development. Data from the Asian Development Bank indicate that the average years of schooling within Asia has doubled within a generation, directly contributing to long-term GDP growth. Many countries are now strengthening coordination across education skill systems, expanding investment in building the capacity of teachers, trainers. Encouragingly, more governments are adopting whole of society approaches, fostering public-private partnerships, and engaging employer organizations as partners in the governance of. These steps are essential to create an agile and future-ready workforce needed in every economy. Malaysia has made huge progress in strengthening its skills ecosystem, the skills-related underemployment declining considerably. And for ASEAN, the OECD skills strategy supports the progress in the region and how it has reacting megatrends such as digital transformation by calibrating skill systems, develop relevant skills over the life course, use them in work and society, strengthen the governance of skills. The pace of change challenges all of us, but it also inspires innovation. The digital and green transition are creating unprecedented opportunities to rethink and revitalize skills building. The surge in demand for generative AI illustrates how quickly new markets can emerge. Young professionals are adapting to the shift by acquiring complementary skills that combine technology, creativity. We just learned that the 6 years of son of the honorable ministers actually already learned coding, which just shows how actually fluid skills are in our state. A few years ago, coding was highlighted and seen as a very specialized skill. AI automated much of it. This reminds us that education system must evolve continuously faced with transformation, equipping learners not just with technical expertise, but also with human and social skills such as problem solving, critical thinking, adaptability. The key question then is not how to preserve old models, but how to build learning ecosystems that stay relevant and future focused in a world where the only constant is change. This forum is very timely and important opportunity to learn from each other, identifying what works, what does not work, and design collaborative solutions that prepare our economies and societies. In the future, skills are not just power, they are the new currency of prosperity. With that, I would really like to thank again the HID Corp Ministry of Human Resources for their great hospitality for organizing this forum, the ILO team to co-organize this forum and to really help us to bring us all together, and also the IUT team with Agostina Morni and Amadou Sako bring us all here together. This forum is a team effort. I really appreciate the collaboration, a good sign for the future. Let us all be lifelong learners. I wish us all a successful forum, and whatever we take out of this forum, implement at home. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Matthias Thorns. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now honored to hear from a global advocate of inclusive and sustainable skills development. Please welcome His Excellency, Mr. Gilbert Hangbo, Director General of the International Labour Organization.
His Excellency, Deputy Prime Minister, the Datuk Seri, Dr. Said Hamadi, Honorable Minister of Human Resource, my dear friend Steve Kiong, my dear Matthias Thorns, Vice President of the International Organization Employers, Dr. Said bin Mohammed Sultan, Chief Executive of HRD Corp, honorable ministers from the ASEAN member states, head of delegations, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. It is a real privilege for me to join you today in Kuala Lumpur, a city that I have not visited for the last 15 years. So I'm so very, very pleased for this opportunity to come here again. Please allow me to express my appreciation to the government of Malaysia, the Ministry of Human Resources, HRD Corp, and the International Organization of Employers for organizing this important event and associating the ILO. The government of Malaysia has carried out outstanding work as ASEAN chair for the ASEAN Year of Skills 2025. I must express my heartfelt appreciation to the Ministry of Human Resources under your leadership, Mr. Minister Steve Sim, whom I regard as one of the region's most dynamic and visionary labor ministers. Your leadership in championing the ASEAN Year of Skills 2025 truly reflects Malaysia's commitment to empowering the whole region workforce for the future. The ILO stands ready to continue working with Malaysia and ASEAN countries as you strive to realize this vision. We are meeting at a defining moment for the world of work. Matthias mentioned it: technological innovation, artificial intelligence, the green and the digital transition, the demographic change, and the new form of employment are transforming how we produce, how we learn, and how we work. These transformations bring opportunities for growth, opportunities for better productivity. But they also risk widening inequality if workers and enterprises, particularly small and medium-sized enterprises, if they are left without the skills to adapt. This is why, for the ILO, skills development and lifelong learning are central to a human-centered picture of work. They are key to unlock productivity, social inclusion, and to develop resilience. Investing in people's capability is critical to advance decent work and to advance social justice. Meeting the skills challenge requires strong partnership between governments, employers, workers. Government providing policies, investment, and incentives. Workers' organizations help ensuring that training opportunities are fair, are accessible, and right-based, while employers link learning to economic needs. No skills development strategy can succeed without enterprise engagement. This forum, therefore, rightly places private sector at the heart of global skills and lifelong learning. As we reflect on this shared responsibility, it is important to focus our attention on three key areas where I believe joint action can make the greatest difference. First, innovation. Emerging technologies such as AI are transforming how we design and deliver learning and training. We must ensure that these innovations remain people-centered. These innovation remains ethical and they remain inclusive. Second, inclusion. Every worker, regardless of gender, regardless of age, background, or employment status, must have the opportunity to learn, the opportunity to reskill and upskill throughout their life. Skills systems must reach workers in the informal economy, persons with disability, and those in rural and underserved areas. Third, investment. Skills are the best investment any society can make. This requires adequate and predictable financing through public budgets, device schemes, and co-investment by enterprises to sustain learning opportunities at every stage of working life. Across continents, we see that when government, employers, and workers act together, skills become a driver of innovation, productivity, and inclusion. The ILO's Skills and Lifelong Learning Strategy 2030 calls for such collective action, linking national policy, sectorial initiatives, and international cooperation to close the skills mismatches and advance social justice. This forum offers an opportunity to forge partnerships and shape a future defined by shared choices. Let it serve as a catalyst for action toward a just and sustainable world of work. By investing in skills, strengthening dialogue among employers, workers, and governments, and making lifelong learning a reality for all, we can and we must create pathways for decent work and equality for all. This, in turn, will support growth and shared prosperity throughout ASEAN region. I wish you all a very successful forum. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Mr. Jalbert Hangbo, for your warm words. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is now our highest honor to invite to the stage the Honorable Datuk Seri, Dr. Ahmad Zahid bin Hamidi, Deputy Prime Minister of Malaysia and Minister of Rural and Regional Development, to deliver the officiating speech and launch GSF 2025.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah barakatuh, and very good. Hormat Saudara Esteem, Honorable Excellency Mr. Kubo, General Azman Yusof, Farah, Said Alwi, the ministers from states, the HS towns, Matia, Lukui, labor and civil service, yes, ladies and gentlemen. I have no pantun to extremely an excellent pantun delivered by Abis. But it is a great honor, great honor for me, to be given the opportunity to officiate the Global Skills from 2025, held for the first time outside Geneva. Thank you for the DG ILO for giving us the opportunity. To me, this is more than just an event. It is a moment of history because for the first time since Malaysia joined ILO in 1957, welcome the visit of ILO Director General. Thank you once again. I hope you had enjoyed the durian. I know the smell is hell, but the taste is heaven. This forum marks powerful testament how far we have come as a nation and how deeply are committed because of skills, human capital, and social justice. As chairman of Malaysia's National Tibet Council, I have witnessed firsthand how swiftly the world of work is being transformed, driven by artificial intelligence, green economy, and global trade dynamic. In this defining moment, we are reminded that skills are the true currency of future. We like to are the true currency of the future. And knowledge is the key that unlocks the door to shared prosperity. Alhamdulillah, the presence of nearly 50 Pacific countries from ASEAN and beyond sends a powerful message that development, skill development is not an isolated agenda, but a shared global responsibility. A responsibility to ensure that every worker, every youth, and every community has the chance to learn, adapt, and to thrive. Under the banner of the ASEAN Year of Skill 2025, Malaysia stands proud to host this gathering, thus declaration of achievement, but as a renewed commitment. Believe that the true wealth of a nation lies not in its natural resources, but in skills, resilience, and spirit of it. In Islam, ilm or knowledge is nur, light that guides humanity. And amal or work, ibadah, sacred act of service. When we speak about skills, we are not merely discussing training or employment, but essentially, we are talking about restoring dignity to labor, giving purpose to effort, and building a future where progress and compassion walk hand in hand. Across the world, we are witnessing a powerful shift. Skills are no longer on the sidelines. They are now stand at the center of national strategy. The fourth industrial revolution compelled every nation to reimagine how we prepare our people for the future of work. In this global race of relevance, those who invest in practical, adaptable, and future-ready talent will not just survive. The future of work is written before our eyes. The forces reshaping our economies, artificial intelligence, innovation, country, and demographic shift are not only changing how we work, but defining why we. They demand that technology move with wisdom and progress with purpose. Whether this new era uplifts or divides all of us, it will depend. One thing, how AI, for instance, no longer confined only to lab or algorithm. Now sit beside us in classroom, boardroom, and even smallest of enterprise. Can translate languages, analyze data, and optimize production. I can that never replace judgment, patience, or these are the very traits that make us human. And they must be protected and strengthened. Yet, as much as AI creates realities, also presents new risks from widening inequality to displacement. Left unchecked, deepen the gap between those who have access to skill and those. That is why skills development must be treated not as an afterthought, but as the foundation of national resilience. We must recognize that the next great divide will not be between rich and poor nations, but between skilled and unskilled. The ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn will determine whether countries rise or fall in this global economy. Malaysia sees this not as a challenge to fear, but as an opportunity to form. Through strategic initiative under the Malaysia Madani framework, we are reforming our blending education with industry, integrating TVET with technology, and embedding values-based learning into our national agenda. As a nation, we have always believed that progress must serve people, not the other way around. We must ensure that every transformation, whether digital or industrial, must remain human-centered. We cannot build smart cities without wise cities. No, a generation that will stand tall in the age of AI, not as followers of machines, but as their masters. Saudara-saudari, as we navigate the era, Asia's conviction is very clear. We cannot shape the future alone. Skills transcend borders. Knowledge knows no nationality. And talent, when nurtured together, and live an entire region. This is the spirit behind the ASEAN uniting nation around one truth. The future of ASEAN lies in. As mentioned by Sarah Stephen Sim, with nearly 700 million citizens, most of them are under the age of. ASEAN is one of the world's youngest and most dynamic regions. If we invest wisely, its use divided can drive innovation and prosperity for decades. But if we have it, we risk generation, quality, and relevance. Under Malaysia's ASEAN chairmanship, we aim to turn potential into progress. Through the Ministry of Human Resources, RDCOP, collaboration with ASEAN Secretary of course, the ILO and IOE, are developing new frameworks for cross-border recognition of skill and shared investment capital. In this ASEAN Year of Skills, our priorities are clear. First, strengthen national skills system that align education and TVET with Industry 4.0 and second, to expand the skill and upskilling opportunities for women, youth, persons with disabilities, also workers in the informal sector. Third, promote mutual recognition of cross-border. So ASEAN can move as one. It's a workforce that is mobile, competitive, and saudara-saudari, governments start the direction, but it's the and partnership that give momentum change. The story of skills development, no single actor can act alone. Governments build frameworks. Industry give the life, and workers give. The private sector is not just a beneficiary of skilled workers. It is a co-creator of talent and a partner of national building. Every investment in skill is an investment in innovation and shared prosperity. In Malaysia, HRD Corp model has shown how this partnership works. Through its levy-based system, employers co-fund and shape training to ensure that learning remains relevant and responsive to industry. I wish to commend LO, National Organization of Employers, IOE, and ASEAN Secretariat for their shared leadership during partnership advancing. I would like to offer a big hand to all these organizations. Together, all these organizations represent the true spirit of collaboration, one that unites government, employers, and workers in shaping a future that is innovative, inclusive, grounded in human values. In this sense, collaboration is not just an economic strategy. It is an ethical responsibility. Progress must be inclusive. Profits must be serve its purpose. And productivity must be guided by compassion. Measure of our time not be written by but the values uphold the lives to uplift. Because progress without purpose is and innovation without inclusion. Story of skill is not just about work, it's about worth. It is about the quiet dignity of a youth learns, pride of a worker who leads, and the strength of a nation lives. So that this forum mark a true turning point where the private sector stands not merely as a beneficiary, but as the architect of a future powered by skill, purpose, and partnership. Let this be the moment where every nation in ASEAN declares one united voice that the future of work belongs to those who work together. And ILO was made to understand this issue. Third visit in our culture, we believe after third visit, fourth and future visit, our beloved country. So our colleague from ASEAN nation, ASEAN member countries, welcome again. Next week, end of this week, your leaders will begin. I hope benefit of country and welcome our new friend Timor-Leste as member of ASEAN. And with that spirit and our shared commitment, I hereby officially Global Skill Forum 2025. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Honorable Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi. We would like to invite you, sir, to kindly remain on stage as I invite the Honorable Mr. Stephen Sim Chi Kyong, His Excellency Mr. Gilbert Hongbo, Yang Berbahagia Dato' Azman bin Muhammad Yusuf, Mr. Matthias Thorn, Dato' Abu Huraira bin Abu Yazid, and Dr. Said Alwi bin Muhammad Sultan to kindly join the Honorable Deputy Prime Minister on stage for the official launch of the Global Skills Forum 2025. We would like to invite all our distinguished guests to jointly place their palms on the globe to initiate the launch sequence. As we count down from 3, 2, 1. With that, welcome officially to the Global Skills Forum 2025. Thank you to the Honorable Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi for officially launching GSF alongside our other distinguished guests. We'd like to invite everyone to remain on stage for the handover of the Malaysia Commitment to Skills Development for Future Workforce. I would like to kindly invite to join us on stage His Excellency Mr. Pong Sasek Intalat, Vice Minister of Labour and Social Welfare, Lao People's Democratic Republic, His Excellency Mr. Rogerio Araujo Mendoca, Secretary of State, Vocational Training and Employment, Timor-Leste, Mr. Dharma Wansha, Director General of Manpower Placement Development and Expansion of Employment Opportunities, Indonesia, Ms. Rosana A. Urdaneta, CISO2, Deputy Director General for Policies and Planning, Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, TESDA, the Philippines, and Ms. Nguyen T. Viet Hong, Deputy Director General of Department of Vocational and Continuing Education and Training, Ministry of Education and Training, Vietnam. Ladies and gentlemen, the Malaysia Commitment to Skills Development for the Future Workforce marks Malaysia's pledge to ASEAN nations and the global community in strengthening collaboration, nurturing future-ready skills, and empowering communities towards a resilient, sustainable, and competitive Malaysia within ASEAN. Witnessed by all our distinguished guests on stage, I would like to now invite the Honorable Deputy Prime Minister to witness the handover as I invite the Honorable Mr. Stephen Sim Chi Kyong, Minister of Human Resources Malaysia, to hand over the Malaysia Commitment to His Excellency Mr. Gilbert F. Hongbo, Director General of the ILO. Can we have the document, please? Your Excellency, we'd like to invite you to receive the joint commitment from the Honorable Mr. Stephen Sim Chi Kyong. Let's have one final group photograph with all our distinguished guests on stage. And with that, I would like to welcome the Honorable Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi and all our distinguished guests to kindly return to their seats. As I now invite, ladies and gentlemen, members of the media to join us on stage for one final photograph. Photography crew, we'd like to invite you to kindly take your positions on stage as our distinguished guests return to their seats. Delegates of GSF 2025, we'd like to invite everyone to kindly rise. Everyone, can we kindly all stand so we're all visible in this final photograph? And to all our distinguished guests in the front row, we'll have the Global Skills Forum branding there, marking the very first time the GSF 2025 is held on this scale here in Malaysia. And we would like to invite everyone to kindly focus your attention, your bright smiles, to the main cameras on stage. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, international delegates, welcome to the Global Skills Forum 2025. Thank you, members of the media. And on that note, we thank the Honorable Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid bin Hamidi, Deputy Prime Minister of Malaysia and Minister of Rural and Regional Development, for joining us in officiating GSF 2025. We'd like to invite the Honorable Deputy Prime Minister to be accompanied on a tour of the exhibition booths just outside. For your information, delegates, ladies and gentlemen, some of the international booths are visiting Malaysia for the very first time. To all our other delegates, please kindly take your seats as we will be resuming with the Global Skills Forum proper in just a short moment. Please do kindly be seated. To all our delegates, please do kindly be seated, and you may occupy the seats in front. So please do kindly move as far forward as possible as we get set to begin the Global Skills Forum discussion in just a short moment. Thank you.
Karena kita akan sama-sama menutup